Hello friends and welcome back to Picture Astrology. We will continue our series of analyzing planets through various houses today. And in that series, we will look at Aries Ascendant and how will Sun behave in the third house of this Ascendant. So when you have the Aries Ascendant horoscope, the first house belongs to the sign of Aries, which is the Ascendant, and we are looking at the position when Sun sits in the third house. So third house actually is the sign Gemini. Gemini is a dual sign which is lorded by Mercury, and Mercury and Sun are supposed to be friends. So this is actually a friendly sign for Sun to be in. And Gemini is also the first dual sign of the zodiac. So these are the signs, dual signs are the ones which allows or which facilitates analysis. They are the people who are able to look at both sides of a coin very easily. And on the flip side, they could be indecisive too. So but before we actually analyze each area of life, let's see what all things this position can even impact. So first of all, since Sun is posted in the third house, the third house significance will definitely be impacted. So let's see, when we say third house, the most commonly known aspects of third house are courage. Third house is known as the house of your courage or initiative taking. It is the house of your siblings. It is also the house of your neighbors. It is the house of your communication skills. This house, the third house, is supposed to be the house where the mind process, the mental process begins. So the things like reading, writing, short stories, everything, the basic communication comes in under the third house. So these are common significance of the third. Now and also third is known to give short travels. The short travels, not travels to different continents or different countries, but within the country and within the continent are all covered under the third house. So apart from third house, since we know that Sun is the lord of fifth house, and fifth house, which is basically the sign Leo. So the fifth house significations will also be impacted by this placement. So when we talk about fifth house, the common significance of fifth house is your creative ability, your creativity. And in this analysis, this creativity aspect will go hand in hand with the third house aspect of communication. Apart from creativity, your love life, your children, and your Purva Punya is also common aspect of this fifth house. So moving on next, apart from fifth house, the significance of Sun also will be impacted because we are talking about Sun. So Sun shows your father, government, etc. So let's talk about the third house significance to begin with. I will move this a little bit down. So the first thing we should look at is the courage. So third house is known to be the house of courage or initiative taking. It shows the efforts which you apply in your life. Now Sun represents the soul, and Sun is also a highly malefic planet. It's so bright that you cannot even look at it. So when the Sun is posited in this third house of initiative and courageous, which also symbolizes your soul, these people they love to work hard. They are the fearless souls. They are the ones who are never afraid to go into an uncharted territory, something which they have, unknown, something which they have not known before. They would be first one to be curious and, okay, let's do it. Also, Sun is the lord of 5th house, which shows your creative interest. So again, that 5th house lord is also in the 3rd. So not only their soul, but their heart is also completely into new adventures. And they, they do not think twice before starting off something new. And, unlike other people who would be intimidated sometimes about taking risks, they are not the ones who go back. So this, in that sense, is a very good position that they can fight any situation in life purely from their willpower. But this also makes the life difficult. When you take too much effort to do anything, when you are, really fearless, that you don't try to do things with ease. So for an external person, it may seem like the life is hard. But as you see, Sun is the soul and also the 5th lord, so they are actually enjoying it. They actually love this kind of life. They wouldn't really want anything to come easily in their life anyways. So that's about the courage and initiative taking. So I would say for that, it's a very good position. Let's make it like 2 tick marks. It's a great position for this. Let's now move on to the second piece, the siblings. Instead of sibling, let's talk about close relations in general. So when I say close relation, I'm talking about mother, father, and siblings together. And why I'm talking about this, all these 3 together, is that this position, Sun in the 3rd house, is generally, especially the lord of 5th in the 3rd, is generally a very tricky position, and it causes some friction with the close relations, which is mother, father, and siblings. And we'll see why. See, first of all, let's say sibling. Now, Sun is in the 3rd house. We know Sun is a malefic. It's a bright, very, very bright planet. And in general, wherever their Sun is, even in the sky, whichever position the Sun is, you cannot look at it. So in astrology, any house in which Sun is posited, the relationship of that house, the relationship which that house signifies, they somewhat suffer a little bit. Now, obviously, the lord of the 3rd house and the aspects and everything have to be considered, but purely speaking from this one position, Sun in the 3rd house kind of burns the relationship with the siblings a little bit. So that's why, their communication, there could be communication barrier with siblings, or there could be actually physical barriers. Siblings could be in a different location than they are, or they might just not get along well. Now with mother is represented by 4th house. So this is the house of mother. Now see where Sun is posited from this. Sun is posited just one house before it, which is called, the house 12th from the house of mother. And why we call it 12th, because we consider 4th or the house of mother as the starting point, and then count the number of houses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So Sun is actually 12th from this house. Now 12th position, any planet which is 12th from any house generally is not good for that particular house. So for the house of mother, which is the 4th house, which not only shows your mother but also your relationship with mother, Sun being in the 4th house, Sun being in the 3rd, which is 12th from it, doesn't augur well. So this could mean many things. It could mean that the mother has to live away from the kids because of her work, or kids go to boarding schools for schooling and they have to be away from mother, or any other thing. It could even mean some physical trouble to the mother. But so all of that depends on the complete analysis of the fourth house. But just this particular position, Sun in the third house in the sign of Gemini, is not alone. This standalone unit is not conducive for relationship with mother. Similarly with father, the father's house is the 10th house. 10th house is the house of father, and from the father's house, Sun is posited in the 6th. It is in the 6th from the house of father. Now 6th is similar to the 12th, is not a great position. So 6, 8 and 12 from any house is not the best position for that particular house. So this way, the Sun in the third house in Gemini is not generally great for close relationships, or some strenuous situation can happen between the close relatives. Now this is just, as I keep repeating, this is just this one position. To understand your complete relationship with mother, father and siblings, many other factors have to be looked at, which should be looked at into the entire chart. Okay, so I will now move this, and let's say for siblings and close relatives, it's not a great position. Now let's move on to communication. Third house is the house of communication. Gemini sign is the house of communication. Sun is your soul, and fifth lord is your creative faculty. It is the things which you love to do. So communication basically comes naturally to these people. They love to talk, they love to communicate. They are the ones, who invest a lot of their creative abilities towards the third house matter, which mean it could be writing, it could be writing short stories, it could be writing poems, it could be becoming a correspondence into a newspaper, it could be a newspaper editor, it could be a news anchor, or any other creative or communication related occupation. Say even teachers or lecturers or preachers, people who preach, people who give sermons to others, especially because this Sun directly aspects the 9th house. 9th house is the house of religion. It is the house of dharma. Dharma means your duty, things which you must do for society and for the good of the humanity. So many missionaries, people who want to spread the word of God or want to spread the word of Jesus around the world, because if you combine, they have anyways a very exploratory or fearless psyche. We saw that Sun in the third house make them very fearless. They want to go to uncharted territories. And when you combine that communication with the 9th house religious significance and their ability to communicate and talk and give sermons to others, you get missionaries or, nuns or preachers or, fathers and so on. So this is a very common placement for these kind of occupations, which are related to any kind of communication, any kind of reading, writing, giving lectures, etc. And they do very well in this. They love to, you can talk similarly, since third house is also the house of travel. They love to travel. They would go from one place to another place and then talk to more people and then move on to another people. People who live a life full of travels or exploring new places and making new friends. All of these are signified by this position of Sun. So I think let's just say this is great position for communication, and it is wonderful for traveling and occupations, which kind of combines the courage, communication and travel together, and we get all the occupations we just talked about. Okay, so now let's move on to the remaining aspect of the 5th house. We have talked about most of them. The only thing to talk about now is the love life and the children. So let's start with the children. The Lord of 5th in 3rd house is actually a good position, because the 5th Lord is 11th from itself. So it's 11th from 5th house, and when I say 11th, so consider 5th as the starting point, and when you count the number of houses to 3rd, it is the 11th. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and 11th. So when a Lord is placed in the 11th from itself, it is very conducive to get good progeny, to get good children, to get good kids. Especially also because Sun has a direct aspect on the 9th, and 9th is the house of luck. So many times they get good opportunities in their life after the birth of their child or the birth of their kids. Now the 5th Lord in the 2nd, in the 3rd aspecting 9th, 3rd and 9th both are also house of travel. So it is very likely that when they have a childbirth, they many times would be traveling around. They would be away from the home when the child is born, at the time of birth, for whatever reason it may be. But the 5th Lord, which is the Lord of the children's house, aspecting the 9th house of luck, gives lucky kids. And these are generally the kids, they are well behaved, they do well in life. So this is overall a very good position. Also Gemini is lorded by Mercury. Now Gemini, as we know, is a dual sign. So this is one of the combination which supports birth of twins. Now birth of twins cannot be simply predicted by just one placement, but this one placement does support twin birth, or if not twin birth, at least more than one kids. They like to have more kids, not just one. Also Gemini, Lord of Mercury, with the Lord Mercury, supports daughters rather than son. This position is generally known to give first child as daughter, and the daughter does very well in life also. So that's about the kids. Now like we are now doing for the kids, it's a great position. I'll do 2 tick marks. Now let's just quickly talk about the love life. So if you see the 3rd house, the 3rd house is the beginning of Kama Trikona. And when I say Kama Trikona, I mean desire. So these 12 houses of a horoscope, they are divided into groups of 3, and there are 4 such groups. The house number 3, 7 and 11, and let's just maybe use this color, 3, 7, 11. These 3 houses are called the house of desire or kamas, because most of their significance are related to fulfilling human desire in this life. And in that sense, 3rd house is the start of desire. It is the first place where desire begins. So when the 5th Lord is in the 3rd house, this gives a very inquisitive tendency when it comes to relationships, when it comes to physical relationships. Now Gemini, and Mercury, they are also known. Gemini is a dual sign, so it gives a lot of indecisiveness. Should I go after this or should I go after that? It gives a lot of fluctuating mind. So when the fifth lord is in this dual sign, in a house where desires are supported, the person takes time to decide or fully commit. So commitment, they will not commit to anything, especially in the love life, very easily. They would want to experience many things. They would want to understand good and bad of all aspects, and then only they will commit. But remember, since Sun aspects 9th house, once they are committed, they will be fully committed. But this commitment, it's not a commitment phobia as such, but more about the mental inquisitiveness. They want to experience many things, they want to understand and then make the best decision for themselves. So this can lead to initially multiple affairs, multiple relationships in the beginning, not the loose character as such, because the Sun is aspecting 9th house. So this gives them firmness of the character, but simply because their mind is so receptive, they just want to know everything. So that's why initially there could be some commitment problems. They can try and experiment with multiple things, but once they're committed, they are committed. And this position also supports a good marriage life, because from the 7th house, which is the house of marriage, Sun is posited in the 9th house. If you can count from 7th house, 3rd house will be the 9th, and 9th is a very lucky position. So once they are committed, they get into the marital bond, and very dutifully conducts all the duties of marriage life. So that was my, so we can say for the love life and marriage also, this is a very good position. Alright friends, so this was my quick analysis of 5th house Lord Sun in the 3rd house for the Aries Ascendant. I hope you like it. Please put in your questions on the comment section and like the video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll be coming soon with other videos of this nature. Thank you. Have a great time. Talk to you later. Bye bye.